Hi, shalom, brother and sister. Today I just want to share with you a secret formula I've used in my public speaking for many years, and I believe this could help you like improve your public speaking or presentation in a short period of time. So let me go straight to the secret formula. So you can see on the right, there's a illustration of a graph, and you can see a fish on a plate. So I will plainly explain the theory about this public speaking. It's called reverse fishbone model. So it started with, let's see the picture on the right. It started with the grab attention, which is the tail of the fish, and you're trying to give a summary, a question or statement, trying to grab the attention of your audience, and then it follows with the 3 points, 3 arguments trying to support your tail. And then number 3 is hate, is the fish of the hate. Where do you want your audience hate to? Like what kind of call action do you want them to achieve? And number 4 is plate, which is reinforce the call. It's basically the Q&A sessions with your audience where you have kind of interactive question and answer session, and where you build credibility with your audience when they ask you further questions about your 3 arguments or call to action. Now I know this is just a theory and it's very hard to see what is behind the scene. So let's imagine, just close your eye, imagine tonight, a night of sleep disturbed by noisy air conditioner in your room, and you didn't sleep well because of the air conditioner is very noisy. So if I were to use this reverse fishbone model to do a sales pitch to you, so what would it be? So for the tail, I will start with, did you sleep well? I have the quietest air conditioner in town, which can help you to sleep well. So this starting point, this tail trying to grab attention, this immediately hit the pain point of you, right? Because you didn't sleep well. So trying to grab your attention. It's like the tail of the fish is waving towards you, trying to attract your attention. And then I will follow up with 3 arguments, right? The arguments is to support the tail. So number 1 is it could be as low as whispering sound in quiet mode. The second point is it has smart speed regulation, and it has slower modal, is quieter than the fast one. And number 3 is that it's certified to improve sleep quality by 30%. Now I made that up on the last one here. So you can see I started with grab attention, and then I followed with 3 arguments to support the grab attention statement. And number 3, this is the most important one, because in a sales pitch, we're trying to ask the prospective customer to make action, which is to pay, right? So I would say to the prospective customer, you to buy this to have a good sleep. So this is like a call to action, which is a win-win situation where you fork out certain sum of money to buy this, and then in exchange you can get a good sleep because air conditioner is very quiet. So at this point in time, the salesperson, most salesperson don't know how to go on from here, but the plate, right, is like Q&A session, as I said earlier. It's a stage where you can build your credibility. So the salesperson can then approach the prospective customer to say that, can you imagine having this in your bedroom? How great your sleep could be. Because most people, they are not likely going to take any action that you ask them to do, right? Without any incentives for themselves. So you started with great grab attention, 3 arguments, and call to action. And now, because there must be certain doubts still existed in the prospective customer, so we are trying to dig out all those doubts in their mind so that we can clear any doubts in their mind. So once we started asking, can you imagine having this in your bedroom? How great your sleep could be. So we can start a conversation with, maybe this prospective customer is concerned with the lump sum payment. Maybe we want to change the payment term, or could be that he or she is not a decision maker. It could be the husband who is the breadwinner of the family, who makes the final decision. So we need to get all this in this conversation. Now in the Q&A session, especially this plate, and if people ask you questions like about the product or services, and if you do not know anything about the product services, and it's likely you're going to lose the credibility, right? So that's why the plate is actually a very important part where you have an interactive session to build rapport and also build trust with your audience. You can see if you are interested in all the kind of investment uh, in the startup, you can watch those shows like Shark Tank. You can see the investor when finally the young investor did a great presentations, but the investors asked them one simple question like, when is your startup going to break even? And those young uh, entrepreneur just couldn't answer the question, right? And then suddenly they just lose all the credibility they have built so far from the grab attention, 3 point, and call to action. So all these 1, 2, 3, 4 are very important elements in any of your public speaking or a presentation, because as you can see, number one, grab attention. If you're not able to grab people's attention, people are not going to listen to you for 20 or 30 minutes. Number three, call to action. And some people are scared to call to action. Now, if you're not going to call to action to your audience and you're not going to perform anything, then your public speaking is ineffective because it's not creating an impact to people where people will take action, right? And number four is the plate, where you need to prepare yourself for all kinds of questions, interaction with your audience. But if you didn't, you're going to lose credibility, and you're also, you're not able to clear all the doubts in people's mind. I just want to reiterate, as you go through 1, 2, 3, 4, right? This is the four elements are the most important elements, but you can see the dimensional and preparational complexity increases. So what do I mean by that is, grab attention and three arguments are easy to make. You can just think of what your prospective customers or audience want to hear, and then you go from there. But when it goes to call to action and reinforce the call, the dimensional complexity increases because you need to imagine all kinds of questions, from the audience, or it could be one audience, or it could be a large crowds or audience that people may ask you all kinds of questions. So the dimensional complexity increases. Also, like when it goes to Q&A, the preparational complexity increases because you need to anticipate all kinds of questions and get yourself ready to build the rapport and trust and credibility with your audience. So here is an exercise because it's all talking, and I believe in practicing and drill this, four elements reverse fishbone model into your system. So this exercise is you are to educate an 8-year-old boy teen on global warming and help him to kick off the littering habit for good. And here is the background. Tim loves many things in life, like his father. He enjoys music and plays a bit of guitar. He likes to swimming and also like to go to beach. And his father promised him one day would take him for diving. He also loves animals like elephants since young and has many elephant toys in his bedroom. So this is the exercise here. You can see the problem. What's the call to action? The call to action is we are to educate this 8-year boy Tim on global warming and help him to kick off the littering habit for good. That's the call to action. Now I want you to use these four elements, this reverse fishbone model, to apply to this situation. Now just pause the video and just take time to write down how would you structure your presentation or your conversation with Tim using the reverse fishbone theory. Now have you tried this exercise? Okay, let me show you just a sample answer for this exercise. You can see on the left side there's a table, and each row represents the four elements of the reverse fishbone theory, and the second column is the WFF facts, which are extracted from their website. We can see the tail, fish tail. I mean, when you present something, of course we want to present with factual things. So you can see the fish tail is climate change is killing 20 times more elephant than poaching, mainly due to habitat loss. So, but this phrasing vocabulary, I would think it's a bit too difficult for a young boy to understand. So if I were to rephrase this factual things, information into sentences that Tim could understand, I would say, do you love elephant? Because as we mentioned earlier, Tim love animals, right? And I would say littering is killing 20 times more elephants than hunter because we are destroying elephants' homes. So this will quickly grab Tim's attention because he loves elephants, right? And the three bonds here is that, you know, I won't go through the factual information here, but in a way that we try to rephrase those factual information in the information that Tim could understand. So I would say when we destroy elephants' home, they are dying because they could no longer eat a variety of goods, and they could no longer drink clean water, and they fall sick often due to high temperature. So my fish head here will be stop littering and save elephants. The same kind of situation, the win-win situation. If you stop littering, you can save elephants. Now my plate will be, I just figure if I were to have a Q&A session to reason with Tim, it's kind of difficult, right? So for my plate, the 360-degree consideration to clear the doubts in his mind will be, let's watch a video together, or let's see some picture together. You can see the picture below that this elephant is actually eating a plastic bag. We can emphasize to Tim that elephant is eating the plastic bag that he littered, right? That he needs to stop this action. I hope this demonstrates that the wholesomeness of this model, reverse fishbone model, and how useful it is in all kinds of situations. Either you are having business situation, do a presentation, getting investors to invest in your business, or public speaking, or talking to your spouse, talking to a child. You can all use this structure to have a conversation with them. So I just want to share with you why this model is great. Firstly is that it's so easy to remember. As you can see the illustration on the right side, the tail is a fish tail is waving towards the audience, trying to grab attention, and three fish bones, right? And the head, where do you want your audience head to? Like what kind of action do you want them to take? And the plate, which is to reinforce your core and to clear any doubts in the audience mind, right? It's easy to remember once you have this mental image in your mind, and you can apply it anywhere. So secondly is that having this structure help you to solidify your position and confidence as a speaker, because once you have this creative process of creating your own reverse fishbone model, and you'll be confident that your public speaking will not break apart because you have done your preparation for reinforce the call to action. You have done your preparation, and then with this structure in place, as you go on to do your presentation over time, your natural speaking tone, pauses, and hand gesture will follow suit, and you will sound so natural because this kind of model comes deep from within you, right? You're trying to deliver a plate of fish to your audience for them to digest. Also, you ensure that you have all the right elements in place and you simplify your presentation. For example, the three argument. People often ask me, why three? Why not 5 or 6? The thing is, right, back in the days when I was in the consulting firms, those young consultants, when they did their research, on the slides they will have 1001 reasons to support their arguments. But most people don't remember and don't want to see these 1001 reasons, right? They couldn't remember. So what they need to do is synthesize those information and really condense into three arguments, or pick up three most relevant or persuasive arguments to support their grab attention statement. So because this thing is strange about human being is that if you tell them 3 reasons, most likely they can remember. But if you tell them 4 and 5, they couldn't remember, and you don't want your audience to walk away and couldn't remember anything, right? So 3 arguments. Do your homework, research, and synthesize and really extract the 3 most important arguments in your presentation. And also, 3 arguments we try to simplify as simple as possible, and all throughout your 4 elements we try to make everything as simple as possible. Use simple language, use less words per slide. Just make it as easy as possible. But you may ask me like, sometimes when we present to management, we need to have a lot of information. If they ask us many questions we couldn't answer, you can anticipate that, and you can have those answers to management question in the appendix. And most of the time we think that the management team is very smart, but the actual fact is every day they have so many problems in their mind. They need to see different presentation. Our job is to try to make it easier for them. So I have a quote here, is that only insecure speakers hide behind complexity. So simplicity is powerful, and it helps to spread your message far and wide. So because having a simple message, it helps you to spread your message far and wide, and that's what we want when we're trying to do any presentation or public speaking. So my second point today is always use reverse fishbone model. Always use it. Always use all the time. Try to use it. So in some situation, I can share you with some of the stories that I have some mistakes that I have made that I didn't use this model. So the first case is forget the tail, forget to introduce the grab attention. So I remember there was a case where I walked into the meeting room with the board of directors from a large MNC firm, and I didn't start right with the good grab attention. I was talking about cutting costs. I was talking about all that kind of things introducing. But what they are concerned, what they really wanted is to have revenue increase in that department. So at the start, I was on the wrong foot already. I couldn't get their attention. People were yawning, and they weren't focused, or they weren't interacting with me, and it was a long drawn process of presentation, even though it was just 30 minutes, right? And it was quite embarrassing. So the second point is that forget the hate. The hate is call to action, like what do you want your audience to do after hearing that. This is very important, because if your speech or public speaking are not causing people to take certain action, then it's not an effective presentation. If you have been to any kind of events, and you have seen some kind of great public speaker with passions and great voice, and then at the end of the day, when you go back home and you just couldn't remember what this person has said before, this speaker with passionate voice, and he just talked about grab attention, 3 arguments, and he didn't tell you what to do, as if you have just been to a great music concert, and just hearing a great music concert, and when you came back and you don't know what to do, and it's not making an impact in your life. So do not ever forget about the hate. It's quite important. Also forget the plate. This is the killer, because this is the Q&A session where if you didn't prepare enough for your presentation, and if people start asking you important and relevant questions, and you couldn't answer, you will just lose all credibility, right? Even though you have prepared so much for grab attention, 3 arguments, and call to action, and immediately you were exposed, like you don't know your stuff well, because people will ask you questions from all kinds of angles, 360. That's why the plate is an analogy for 360-degree consideration of Q&A session with your audience. But as we mentioned, that always use this model. I know we would definitely forget this, because we all are human beings. We all have our own weaknesses. That's why I want to share with you that some of the weaknesses that we need to be aware of as we are using this model. So mainly we have 2 kind of weaknesses in communication. Number 1 is self-interest system, right? We only want to say what we want to say, and we do not care what other people want to hear. This is the important one. As a young boy grow up, we are always quite self-centered. We're always projecting from our own perspective, until come to a certain age that we realize if we want to get things moved, we want to be able to stand in other person's perspective, then to carry out the message across. So, but this is the thing, right? If you want to get your message across, you need to care about what other people want to hear. That's why the grab attention statement of the reverse fishbone model is very important. You need to start with that because it's gonna cause your audience to pay full attention to you. The second thing is the emotional system, right? Is we only want to express how I feel. Like I don't care about what other people want to hear. This is the important one, especially if you're angry and if you are really nervous and those kind of emotion kick in and you really couldn't control yourself and no longer you can think in your audience perspective and express things that they could hear, really hear through you. So those two are the uh, weaknesses that we need to bear in mind, and those don't underestimate these two weaknesses. Often they just trip me over in my presentation because I often forget about how self-interested I am and how emotional as a human being I am. So just take this in mind. So exercise 2. So Clara is a HR. He's reporting to her manager. So below is what she's trying to say, that during the meeting reporting to the manager, she was saying that there's a lack of clear guideline or template, like navigating a maze blindfolded. It's not like time consuming. It's a complete shot in the dark. So Clara made some template to change the process, but he didn't have time for her work. And Clara is also complaining that don't get me started on the deadline. The frequency of reporting is like never-ending race against time. Running to meet these demands means that reports are slapped together, probably missing crucial details. Although I created some VBA to do checking today, she did some work to create VBA to do checking. And then the last one is I really do not have time to work on my task today. So you can see this is totally out of whack in terms of using the reverse fishbone model, right? It's speaking from a self-interest perspective, it's speaking from on an emotional ground, and I'm sure this message didn't get it over effectively. So if we look at what Clara is saying, right, lack of clear guideline, complaints, she's basically complaining, and the second paragraph, don't get me started, she's basically tired and broken, and I don't have time to do my work, and it's about her time, right? But you can read through the line there that she actually created some templates. She also created some VBA to do checking. So actually she's adding value to the organization, but in her way of understanding, she didn't think that she's adding value to the organization, but she's thinking that she's blocked by those tasks and couldn't do her day-to-day job, and that's why she's frustrated, in a sense that she couldn't express herself well because she's kind of controlled by self-interest system and emotional system. And we must admit that at one point or 2 points or several points in our life that we were like Clara. I would like that. I'm sure you are like that as well. So in this way, just be aware of those human weaknesses, self-interest system and emotional system that will really take away your use of reverse fishbone model. So a long-term solution for this is really to love yourself and love others. I mean, it's a bit cliche, but really, to be able to speak well, to be able to communicate well, we really must polish our character, that we know how to love ourselves, to be putting ourselves always in peace, right? That Clara's case, that she is doing all kinds of work, she's adding value, but she didn't think so. She didn't encourage herself. She didn't love herself much. She's pushing herself too much. And loving others is really when you communicate, as Clara's case, communicating to her manager, and those complaints and those negativity in the conversation, it's not helping the situation, right? It's not helping the manager. It's just going to make the situation worse. So now let's do this exercise, right? I mean, practice make perfect for this reverse fishbone model. That just take the case of Clara and use this reverse fishbone model to help her. to restructure this, and you can use a pen or piece of paper to write down how would you say to her, and then do that. So have you done your exercise? So I don't have a sample answer for this, but I mean you get a gist of this exercise, and you can write down in the comments if you want, and have a conversation with other people who are watching YouTube. So the key takeaway for this whole presentation is really number one is to have a 5 minute preparation before meeting, to really structure your thoughts before talking to your management, people, your spouse, anybody. Just sit down, have some quiet space, and to think about how can you communicate better, to structure your thoughts and to clear out any emotions and all that. You can start with doing this by just having a summary, a tale, and then 3 arguments, right? Just to aim to have at least tale and 3 bonds in your structure, which means that if you look at the picture on the right, which means that it's only number one, grab attention, tale, and 3 arguments, right? So why am I saying this? Why am I having this simple call to action to you? Because having all 4 elements in place is a difficult task. It's not easy. You need tons of practice to do that. But as a starting point, we can try to achieve to have a grab attention statement and the 3 arguments, to support your points. So number 3 of the key takeaway is to love yourself and love others, and it's a long-term solution, right? And it's a continuous improvement. Some people who are full of love and full of energy, sometimes when they are speaking in a meeting or in any conversations, they don't have a structure, but they're full of love and full of energy, just convey so much to people who are listening to them, and these things sometimes are more effective than the structure itself. But it's a long-term solution. It's a long-term process that we need to polish our own character to be a better person, to be able to have full of love and full of energy all the time, and to be able to love others. So what was my fishbone model? So my tale is, at the start I shared that I want to share with you a secret formula that has helped me in my career many times. And second point is the 3 bones, right? What were my 3 fishbones? Firstly, I talked about the reverse fishbone model theory. I talked about the theoretical part. And secondly, I was emphasizing to always use reverse fishbone model. Number 3 is that even though I've emphasized to always use that, but we know that we are human beings and we have our own weaknesses. And the long-term solution is really to love yourself and love others. My call to action to you guys who are watching this is to really have a 5 minute preparation before any meeting, and you can start with tale and 3 fishbones or 3 arguments. So number 4 is my Q&A session. So what was my Q&A is actually a demonstration of how to use the model, and we also have 2 of our exercises that is helping you to understand this model better or to drill that into your system. I hope you are convinced that this is a great model, that if you practice this over time, I'm 100% sure this could help you to improve your presentation to a great extent. So this is just a short presentation, and if you are interested in this, want to learn this more, I have a book called Public Speaking for the Ordinary People Like You and Me. I have tons of exercise in this book, because having just 2 exercises, I don't think it's going to drill the 4 elements of the reverse fishbone model into you, and it's important that you really have some kind of practices. If you are interested, I encourage you to buy this book. And also, if you are interested to have one-to-one consultation, to let me take a look at your slides and take a look at how your script for your public speaking, I can do that, and to really sit down and to structure out the 4 elements of the reverse fishbone model. And here is my contact. jrq.chen@gmail.com. And if you are, just feel free to reach out to me for this book or for the consultation. I'd be happy to share with you more on this. um, Lastly, I hope that you really learned something from here today, that to really apply the model in your daily life. uh, I can guarantee you that it can improve your work communication, improve your, if you are in a startup, improve your chances to getting investment. If you are in a personal relationship, you can use that to talk to your spouses, or talk to your brother, talk to your sisters, talk to anyone. And this structure is guaranteed to help you to really create a win-win situation with all of your relationships. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching.